Well, hey guys, welcome to KM's Live. It's Pastor Dan here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've been surviving the heat wave that we've had recently. It's been a little crazy, hasn't it? So if you've been able to survive the heat wave, congratulations. If not, I am sorry. Um, I was able to spend a little bit of time out in Montana, which was great. Colorado and Montana, visiting some good friends, and I have to say it was a little bit cooler, and it felt a lot nicer after that. So hang in there. We'll get there. We know that fall is a great season here in Chicagoland, but for you sixth and seventh graders, despite the heat this Sunday, we've got our parking lot get-togethers. So if you're going to be a rising sixth grader or seventh grader, that's you. Join us on Sunday at 2 o'clock, starting at 2 o'clock, and then we'll be done right at 3 o'clock. We'll have a parking lot get-together for sixth and seventh graders, 2 to 3 o'clock. The Commons parking lot. Don't need to bring anything. But we'll have a few socially distanced games and activities. You'll get to know some of your fellow students and also some of the adult leaders in KMs. So I hope you can make it on Sunday. We're going to have them this Sunday, the next Sunday, and the Sunday after that. So you can come to one of them, none of them, all of them. I hope you come to all of them. It'll be a lot of fun. And I'm even working on maybe getting a sprinkler run through so we can cool off halfway through. So hopefully that'll be good. But yeah, if you're in sixth or seventh grade, make sure you come to that. If you're in eighth grade or you've graduated and you're going to be moving on to high X after this, or maybe even right now, you're meeting with your small groups. So that if you're watching as a small group right now, hi. If you're meeting with your small groups after this, I hope you have a great small group. But just keep you guys aware of some things that are going on with KMs this week and even tonight. So hopefully I'll be able to see you guys on Sunday. Okay, so to get things started off, we do have another round of a Kahoot game here. So you can go to kahoot.it or use your app on your phone, pull it out and jump in here on Kahoot, and we'll spend some time. I got a random trivia game for you today, so it should be good. Also, you can feel free to join in on the live chat, so you can type that in on your chat bar on YouTube there, and you can communicate with some of the other folks here watching. But yeah, so plug in that pin to the Kahoot app and jump on into the game. The winner will get some sort of a prize. So excitement. The past few weeks, it's been just me here on KM's Live. Starting next week, we're gonna have one or two or a few others. So please keep tuning into KM's Live for the next few weeks here. We're gonna have some other adults join in, and then eventually we'll jump back in to get some students as well, and you'll get to hear from some of your friends or peers or some people you don't even know yet. So it'll be a good chance. So thanks for tuning in. Keep on there. If there are adult leaders watching, feel free to jump in on the Kahoot game too. So if you're just joining here on KM's Live, go to kahoot.it or pull out your phone if you have the app and jump into the game by putting in that pin number 4128559. We've got two players. I like Power Gecko and Cute Crane. Power Gecko. It sounds very, very intense. I like that one. And Epic Fox. That is epic. But make sure you jump in on the game here. We're going to get rolling with the game. So others, if you're still joining, you can jump in part of the way through. Wise Alpaca is now with us. Very, very wise. But there's 20 questions, and you may not know any or all of them. So we'll see how we're going here. Random trivia, 20 questions or 20 seconds per question. If you're just joining, jump in. You can jump in on Kahoot. Will it give us the number? Well, on a standard traffic light, is green on the top or the bottom of the trio of lights? If you're just joining us, Kahoot.it, and the pin's right on the bottom of your screen there, 4128559. So you can jump in and join us here. It is on the bottom, and I know you guys aren't driving yet, so makes it harder. But yeah, the green lights are always on the bottom, and they're always the red ones are always bigger too, which is interesting. Looks like Cute Crane is on top. We'll see. Question number 2 here. How many states are there? Some people don't know. We'll see. I think there are 13. But how many states are there in the U.S.? Hopefully, at least a few of you know the answer to this one. Good. Everyone got it right. That would be a little rough if people didn't. Cute Crane is still leading the way, followed by Epic Fox. And if you're just joining us, go to Kahoot.it, and just in a second, it'll pop up on the bottom with the game code. So which hand does the Statue of Liberty have her torch in? This one I couldn't figure out. But yeah, if you're just jumping in, Kahoot.it, or you can go on your app, and the game pin is right on the bottom, 4128559. It's in the right hand apparently. So I guess she's holding the torch and whatever book she has right there. Let's see. Epic Fox jumping into the lead on a streak of 3. Nicely done, Epic Fox. Let's see if you guys know this one. Which color is not on the classic Campbell's soup label? How much Campbell's soup have you eaten? That is the question. Or how well do you remember the label? Black, gold, yellow, green. Which one is not on the Campbell's soup label? This one gets a little tougher. If you're just jumping in here in Cams Live, welcome. And go to Kahoot.it. You can jump in. You're not too late. You still have a chance to win. So go to Kahoot.it, type in the pin on the bottom of your screen there. And green is the color that is not on the classic Campbell soup label, apparently. Epic Fox, the only one to get points there. Wow, rough. What 2 letters don't appear on the telephone dial? If you didn't know, there are letters with each thing. And when you used to text, maybe some of you guys have flip phones still, but you had to use T9 texting, so a little different than iPhones and stuff nowadays and Androids. But there's 2 letters that don't have that aren't represented on the telephone dial. Q and Z. I guess they thought we just would never use them. Interestingly enough. So question number 6 here is related. What 2 numbers don't have letters by them? So there's 2 letters that aren't represented, but what are the 2 numbers that aren't represented either? Or that don't have letters, that don't have letters representing them. See what you come up with here. It's an interesting one. If you're just jumping in, go to Kahoot.it, jump in the game with us. It'll be good to have you. And the pin's on the bottom there. 1 and 0 don't have any letters with them, interestingly enough. Epic Fox still leading the way. Cute Crane is close behind, though. Let's see here. Number 7. On the U.S. flag is the top stripe red, white, or blue, or maybe green. If you put green, maybe you're colorblind. I'm not sure. But it's the top stripe red, white, or blue. Well, it's not blue because it's not striped, I guess. But so it's going to be red or white. There's a hint. One of the 2. Which one is the top on the U.S. flag? It is red. Nicely done, everyone. Epic Fox still pulling ahead there with over 3,200 points. See if you know this one. What is the lowest number on the FM radio dial? I don't know if you guys listen to FM radio at all anymore. But there's a lowest number on the dial, and it's either 10, 88, 78, or 60. See how many of you guys listen to the radio enough, or get lucky. You got a 1 out of 4 shot to guess, I suppose. Yeah, which one is it's 88. 88 is the lowest number there is on the FM radio. And Wise Alpaca shooting up into 2nd place on a hot streak there. Nicely done. Question 9, which way does water go down the drain? Counter or clockwise? Is it a trick question? Clockwise, counterclockwise, both ways? Depends. I don't know. I didn't make the quiz, so this is a confusing question already. See what you guys think, and we'll see what whoever made the quiz thinks. And I don't know the answer to this. It depends, apparently, according to the person who made the quiz. I'm not sure why both ways wouldn't have worked then. I don't know. We'll see. Epic Fox still clinging to a lead. Flying Impala jumping up into second place. All right. Question 10. We'll be halfway through after this. On an Illinois license plate, what color are the letters? That's not a real Illinois license plate, so don't put black. They're red, blue, yellow, or green. If you look at an Illinois license plate, at least the standard version, what color are the letters on it? Let's see how many of you guys give this one. They're red. Nicely done, 4 of you. Yeah, they are red, and then there's like blue, and then it's on a white background there. And Epic Fox still in the lead with almost 4,000 points at the halfway mark. Question 11. Which way do fans rotate? Especially a nice little ceiling fan. I don't know. Does anyone have an orange ceiling like that? That seems a little, seems like an interesting color to have a ceiling. I don't know. I've never seen an orange ceiling before, I don't think. But apparently they exist. Apparently fans rotate clockwise. I suppose you probably could switch them to run counterclockwise. So I don't know. Wow, we've got a new leader here. Cute Crane, followed closely by Wise Alpaca. Going to question 12. Whose face is on a dime? One of these 4 presidents, Roosevelt, Lincoln, Washington, or Jefferson. Whose face is on a dime? Either you have a dime handy or you have a really good memory. One of the two. Whose face is on a dime? I would have to look. I don't have any dimes with me. So, I don't know. We'll see. Roosevelt's. Apparently it's Roosevelt. I didn't know that. Is that right? Is that even true? I don't know. Apparently, whoever made the quiz thought so. If it's wrong, type it in the chat. Let me know. Or if you can share a picture, that'd be sweet. How many signs does a stop sign have? Question here is might be a tricky one. We'll see. How many signs does a stop sign have? Now everyone's going to second guess themselves because I said it was tricky. Let's see what you guys have here. 10 is the answer because there's 8 and then 1 on the front and 1 on the back. Trick question, I know. A little hard. If you're just joining in, welcome to Cams Live. You can go to kahoot.it. The game pin's on the bottom there. You can jump in with us. Wise Alpaca has just jumped into the lead. Nicely done. Next question. How many lug nuts are on a standard car wheel? Maybe you've changed a tire, and then you would probably know. I don't know. Do any of you know how to change a tire? Adult leaders hopefully know how to change a tire. Well, hopefully you never had to do it because hopefully you haven't had a tire blowout like on the road or something. But if you had to change a tire, you probably remember about how many lugs they have. It is 5. There are 5 lugs on a standard car wheel, interestingly enough. I'm not sure why there are 5, but there are. Wise Alpaca still in the lead here. Question 15. How many sides are there in a standard pencil? And this one is not a trick question. The picture probably helps here. But how many sides are on a standard pencil? I don't know what a non-standard pencil would be, but I guess they probably exist, don't they? There are 6 sides on a standard pencil. Wise Alpaca still clinging to the lead. Question 16. Sleepy, happy, sneezy, grumpy, dopey, Doc. Who's missing? It's either clumsy, bashful, angry, or spunky. To be honest, this was actually a really hard one when I went through this the first time because I've actually never seen the 7 Dwarves. That's probably a terrible confession to make on Cams Live, but I've never seen it. So I had no idea, and I got this one wrong. Bashful is who is missing. I guess clumsy, so I did not know. Amusing camels on a streak. Cute Crane jumps into the lead. Coming down to the wire here, question 17. We'll see who takes it. How many hot dog buns are in a standard package? Maybe you went shopping for 4th of July food with your mom or dad or something, and you had to buy a bunch of hot dog buns. Then you might have a leg up on this one. even just looking at that hot dog makes me hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet, so now I'm really hungry and I want a hot dog. There are 6. Maybe I could eat 6 hot dogs. That would probably be a mistake, wouldn't it? There are 6 hot dogs in a standard package. Cute Crane still clinging to the lead. Number 18, on which playing card is usually the card maker's trademark? The Ace of Spades, Queen of Hearts, King of Diamonds, or the Joker? Which card in a standard deck is the one with the trademark of the maker? Maybe some of you guys are, maybe some of your families love card games like playing euchre or spades or something like that. So you would know, yes, it's an Ace of Spades. It's often got that. Cute Crane on a streak, almost 7,000 points. 2 questions left. On the back of a dollar bill, what is in the center? I guess I could cheat, see if I have a dollar bill. I cheated, so I know now. It either says 1, there's a pyramid, an eye, or a president. What is on the back of a $1 bill? It does say 1 right on the back. I thought it was a pyramid, or I thought it was an eye with a pyramid, but I think that's, let's see here. The eye with the pyramid is on the side, and the 1 is in the middle, and I had it backwards. I thought the 1 was on the side. Hard to tell. No one in the top 5 gained any points there, so we go into question 20. Let's see who takes it here. How many curves are in a standard paperclip? Curves in a standard paperclip here. This is the last question for all the marbles. Well, maybe not. But if you answer it correctly, you have a chance at winning. There are 3 curves. Let's see who our leaderboard is. The podium for random trivia, 3rd place with 5,373 points, Epic Fox, nicely done. Number 2 with over 7,000, Wise Alpaca, and number 1 with 7,746 points, Cute Crane, nicely done. If that is you, go ahead and let me know in the chat, or you can shoot me an email and we will get you a crane. We'll send it to you in the mail for a prize. Well done to all of you. Thanks for jumping in. We will try and get you that crane. It'll be good. Well, the one other thing that we want to do here on CAMS Live is spend a little bit of time studying the Bible. And as you know, if you've been jumping in with us the past few weeks, we've been going through the book of Philippians. And the book of Philippians starts off with this really strong tone of partnership in the gospel. What does it mean to be unified in the gospel, to make the gospel the center of everything? What does it look like for these basic gospel truths to become a reality in our lives? And how can we, as KMs, really live into that? And so last week we looked at the first half of Philippians 2, 1 through 11, and it talks about the example of Christ and how we follow his example of humility. And he was humble even to the point of death on a cross for you and for me, paying for our sins on the cross. And so this is what follows right after that. So let me read it for us, and then we will talk about it for a few minutes and be done. So this is what it says. Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, so now, not only as in my presence, but much more in my absence, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you to will and to work for his good pleasure. Do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I did not run in vain or labor in vain. Even if I am to be poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrificial offering of your faith, I am glad and rejoice with you all. Likewise, you also should be glad and rejoice with me. I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon, so that I too may be cheered by news of you. For I have no one like him who will be genuinely concerned for your welfare. For they all seek their own interests, but not those of Jesus Christ. But you know Timothy's proven worth, how as a son with a father he has served me in the gospel. I hope, therefore, to send him just as soon as I see how it will go with me, and I trust in the Lord that shortly I myself will come also. I have thought it necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my brother and fellow worker and fellow soldier, and your messenger and minister to my need, for he has been longing for you all and has been distressed because you heard that he was ill. Indeed, he was ill, near to death, but God had mercy on him, and not only on him, but on me also, lest I should have sorrow upon sorrow. I am the more eager to send him, therefore, that you may rejoice at seeing him again, and that I may be less anxious. So receive him in the Lord with all joy, and honor such men, for he nearly died for the work of Christ, risking his life to complete what was lacking in your service to me. So coming right off of looking at this example of Jesus, Paul, who wrote this letter to the Philippian Christians, says, now you live the same way. If you remember in verses 3 and 4, he said, do everything without he said, do nothing from selfish ambition or vain conceit. Verse 4, look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. And he picks right back up on that theme. And he talks about what it means for us in light of what Jesus has done to live in obedience. He says, live in obedience and even work out your salvation with fear and trembling. He says, go and work to live a life that's pleasing to the Lord. But we don't do this on our own strength. We do this through the strength of the Lord. He says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you to will and to work for his good pleasure. You see that in verses 12 and 13, that it's God who does the work in us. Jesus, when he died on the cross, broke the power of death. He rose again, and through his death and resurrection, we have strength. We have the ability, when we work in his strength, to live lives that are pleasing to him. And so I want to encourage you that as you seek to live out some of these things we've been talking about in Philippians, it's not just a try harder kind of thing. I think sometimes we get in our heads that if we just try harder, we'll be better people, or that if we are better people, God will be more pleased with us. No, that's actually not what the Bible teaches. It teaches that God is the one who works in us, and it's for his good pleasure. He gets glory when he works in and through us. And so out of that, we can live lives that are pleasing to him. It's his strength, not ours. And we see what that looks like in verses 14, 15, 16. Verse 14, and this is where it gets really practical. Do all things without grumbling or disputing. Grumbling is when you're kind of like, I don't know if I really want to do that. And disputing is an argument. It's complaining and arguing. Other translations of the Bible will even put that phrase that way. And it shows. It's so you'll be blameless and innocent without blemish in the midst of a world full of sin. It shines as a light, Paul says in verse 15. When you live a life in the strength of the Lord that's pleasing to him, it shines as a light for all to see. We hold fast to the word of life, he says, even when it doesn't make sense. We trust in the promises of God. We don't complain. We don't argue. We honor him with our lives. This is what it practically looks like to live a life of the gospel and the strength of the Lord. Well, how does that work out in our everyday life? Well, sometimes it can be hard to figure that out. And so Paul gives us two examples to follow, to teach us to follow people who are following Jesus. So we saw the example of Jesus earlier in the chapter, and now we see two other examples. We see the example of Timothy and the example of Epaphroditus, who are these people who are humble, who are others-oriented, who are living out this kind of life, trusting in the Lord's power, and we can model our lives after them. We see the example of Timothy first in verses 19 to 24. Timothy, we see in verse 20, had genuine concern for other people. He's genuinely concerned for other people's welfare. And in fact, in verse 21, Paul says, most people seek their own interests, but not those of Jesus. But in verse 22, Timothy has served. He served Paul, he served others. He's a selfless kind of person. Remember the example that we're supposed to follow of Jesus? It's selflessness. It's Jesus who gave of himself for our good. That's what Timothy's doing too. And Paul's saying when Timothy is following Jesus, he's an example that you can follow. And so I think that's something that we can really take from this as well. Who's someone in your life that you see as following how Jesus wants them to live? Who's a godly person? And how could you follow them? Now, the first example is Timothy, and the second example is this guy named Epaphroditus. Say that one 5 times fast. That's a pretty hard one. It's not a name we say all the time, but this guy was a really honorable person. We see that right in verse 25. He's an honorable person. He's a brother in Christ. He's a fellow worker. He's a fellow soldier. He's your messenger. He's a minister. This is an honorable person. And he worked alongside in gospel ministry, even to the point where he was so sick that he nearly died. He was giving of himself time after time after time after time. Maybe you know someone like that who, like verses 26 through 28, show us that he was genuinely concerned for other people. He was so concerned for other people's spiritual good that he gave up himself. And praise the Lord, he didn't die through that. And we see Paul's testimony of how joyful he is because of that right here in this passage. But maybe you know someone like that who's always doing the work of the Lord, who's always giving of themselves for other people. Follow them for their following Christ. It's also important, though, to mention that we don't follow these people in the same way we follow Jesus. Jesus is God and never sinned. He has no sin in him, and so we can follow every single thing that he does. And other people will fail us. And even wonderful Christians will fail us. Even people who are mature Christians don't always do what God wants them to do. And so you need to use some discernment in following them. But when you see people who are humble, and that emulates Christ, follow that humility. When you see people who are so concerned for others that they're willing to give of themselves for other people's good, they're following Christ, and follow that in that person. We can use these other people as examples. What a good thing that is, that God, who works in us, has also given us examples to follow. And so I want to encourage you to perhaps find someone in your life, maybe a mentor, maybe a parent, maybe a friend who's a little further down the spiritual journey than you. Maybe it's an adult leader in KMs or someone else you know from church or from school. Follow them as they follow Christ, and you'll see what it looks like to live a life worthy of the gospel. Well, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining tonight on KMs Live. If you're in 6th or 7th grade, I'll see you on Sunday, hopefully at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock for our parking lot get-together. And tune in next week for KMs Live. Have a great week, guys. See ya.